This is the AB4WS radio show. Every week, bringing you the exciting amateur radio news and information happening in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana areas.
The AB4WS radio show can be found on the Apple Podcast app or your favorite podcast application. Congratulations to a new ham, KQ4YDO, Paul Miles, who is also the Letcher County Emergency Management Director. Congratulations. Always good to hear those EM guys getting their license. Air Force Mars has been on the air with a special event from November 5th to November 11th, celebrating the 76 years of operation. 14 call signs were allocated for this special event, operating on sideband, CW, and digital modes. In the general portion of the bands, 80 through 6 meters. Listen out for them. The 2024 ARRL Field Day results are out, and congratulations to the following clubs from Kentucky who make up the top 12 Field Day stations in Kentucky. First up was the Central Kentucky Amateur Radio Society, AI4A. Second place, KY4KW, the Bullitt County Amateur Radio Society. Third was the Kentucky Contest Group, N4TY. Fourth was W4NJA and the Paducah Amateur Radio Association. Fifth was W4CN, the Amateur Radio Transmitting Society of Greater Louisville. Sixth is the Mammoth Cave Amateur Radio Club, KY4X. Seventh is the Southern Kentucky Amateur Radio Transmitting Society, KY4AR. Eighth is the Stubblefield Repeater Club, KF4UTJ. Ninth is the Murray State Amateur Radio Club, K4SMU. 10th is the Kentucky Colonels Amateur Radio Club, KY4BG. 11th is W4UWC. The 12th was the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club, K4CO. Congratulations on all these clubs and their field day activities. Also, the Okayan Amateur Radio Society Field Day crew, K8SCH, had 1,640 QSOs for a score of 7,303. With the additions of other club member contacts, an aggregate score of 9,951 was achieved, which placed them in second place in Ohio 3A stations and third in 3A in the entire Great Lakes Division. Great job to all those that operated 2024 Field Day. Usually on Thursday nights at 7 p.m., the Kentucky D-Star Net is held on D-Star, a reflector REF056 Bravo. But the month of November, the nets on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. will be held on XLX721, the multi-node reflector in Kentucky, to give those who do not have All-Star a chance to check in. Show off some interoperability of this multi-mode reflector and its usefulness in the event of an emergency event, disaster, or significant event in the Commonwealth. To connect XLX721 on D-Star, use DCS 721 Alpha to connect. On Fusion, use your Fusion hotspot to connect to YSF 51149. And for DMR, use Talk Group 3121232. All of these different digital voice modes will be heard by everyone on the reflector in their own native mode on the radio. Also, the KY4RW-L link will be available to connect over Echolink. And remember, this runs all the time, so you can use it on any of these modes even when the net is not on. So connect up to XLX721 multi-mode reflector and check it out. The next Youth on the Air Camp for the Americas has been scheduled for June 15th through the 20th, 2025 in the Denver area of Thornton, Colorado. The camper application period will open up on December 1st, 2024 at youthontheair.org. Eligible youth are licensed amateur radio operators between the age of 15 and 25. Up to 50 campers will be accepted, and priority will be given to first-time attendees. For more information about the event, go to youthontheair.org/Denver 2025 or contact Camp Director Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, at director@youthontheair.org. November 9th at 1 p.m. is the Brunch Bunch at the Dewey's Pizza, 5649 Harrison Avenue in Dent. Pizza and ham radio. It doesn't get much better than that, does it? November 9th is the Ohio Endurance Series Bobcat Trail Marathon at the Burr Oak State Park. The marathon starts at 8 a.m. and the Athens County Amateur Radio Association provides communications for the event and needs some amateur radio operators to assist in providing communications for this event. If you can help, contact Jeff, N8SUZ, at 740-541-0972. Are you interested in ham radio? Well, the folks in Western Kentucky are holding a ham radio talk across town or the world introduction to ham radio meeting on November 12th at 6 p.m. at the KC United Methodist Church, 195 Kentucky 94 West in Fulton, Kentucky, where they're going to talk about the wonderful and exciting world of ham radio, what ham radio operators can do, and how you can get your license, and explaining all aspects of the ham radio hobby to all ages. If you're interested in attending, RSVP Ben Rudy by emailing benrudy@ben.rudy@uky.edu. On November 14th, the Queen City Emergency Net will meet at 7:30 p.m. at the Red Cross Building, 2111 Dana Avenue in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they welcome all guests. The Monix Group will be meeting on November 16th at 6 p.m. at the Donato's Pizza on Donnemar Drive in Bellevue, Kentucky. Come on out and join them for some radio fun. Are you using a computer with your amateur radio hobby? Well, tune in to the Newcomer Nelmer's Net on the Okayan amateur radio repeater at 146.670 with a PL tone of 123.0 on November 17th at 7 p.m. where Robert, K4PKM, the net control, will discuss the use of computers in amateur radio. Perhaps he will explore some applications that you have never thought of before. On November 18th, the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will have their meeting at 7 p.m. at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. This is the election meeting, and at the October meeting, the election team announced a slate of candidates that were nominated and accepted nomination for officers' positions in 2025, and then closed nominations. The slate of candidates will be President Todd Sayers, KY4TLS, for Vice President Rod Milligan, KY4ROD, for Secretary is Doug Cooper, KE4DTC, for Treasurer is Fred Neal, W0NKY, and Director is Frank Austin, KI4QFL. Since the nominations were closed and there's no opposition in any of these positions, it has been decided to add a program to the meeting as well. So President Todd Sayers, KY4TLS, will be presenting on how to be a net control and how to use NetLogger. So come on out and get some training so that you too can take your turn at being a net control for a net. The Milford Amateur Radio Club will hold their November meeting on the 21st at the Golden Corral Eastgate, 4394 Glen Estee, Williamsville Road in Cincinnati, Ohio, as their annual dinner meeting. All are welcome, whether you're a member or not. Please RSVP on the milfordtohamradio.org website. Are you interested in emergency communications? Well, I encourage you to attend the Amateur Radio Emergency Team of Northern Kentucky meeting on November 25th at 7 p.m. at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky, where the emergency team's training team will give a great presentation that will start at the beginning of emergency communications and basically go over areas describing what it is for, what is emergency management, and what their main objectives are, and how this all fits into the Amateur Radio Emergency Team of Northern Kentucky, and what duties members can expect when the KY6ET team is activated. With the recent major hurricanes hitting southeast United States and the devastation it caused knocking out electric and communications, we have seen the importance of trained and organized amateur radio teams and how they can help the entire community. It is also illustrates the importance for you to get involved and share your amateur radio skills in times of need. Come on out to the meeting and see if this is something that you might be interested in.
Repeater News.
Are you looking for the most up-to-date list of repeaters in the greater Cincinnati area? Well, I've compiled and tried to keep up-to-date an Excel spreadsheet of repeaters in the greater Cincinnati area. Tabs separate the bands, modes, and you can easily look up just for DMR repeaters or 2-meter analog repeaters and so on. The list includes 2 meters, 220, 440, 6 meters, D-Star, DMR, C4FM, P25, and some other classifications as well. Every time I update the file, I include the date in the file name so you know you have the latest update. To download the file, go to the AB4WS Radio Show Facebook page and go to the file section and download the most recent file. Any errors, problems, additions, or corrections, email me at ab4ws.radio@gmail.com. A new repeater is on the air in Jenkins, Kentucky with an unusual frequency pair. You want to receive on 144.940 and transmit on 147.440 with a PL tone of 79.7. This repeater is linked to the Hillbilly Ham Network. This repeater fills the gap along US 119 and US 23 in Letcher County, Kentucky over to Pound and Wise in Virginia. Check it out.
Hamfest.
The Grant Radio Club Hamfest will be held on November 9th from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at 406 West Plum Street in Georgetown, Ohio. Talking on the 146.730 repeater with a PL tone of 162.2. For more information, contact Ken Klosterman at kd8fku@gmail.com. November 15th and 16th is the 52nd Fort Wayne Hamfest and Computer Expo at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum, 4000 Parnell Avenue in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They will be holding a ham radio testing session at 9 a.m., have lots of used and new equipment dealers, and 2 rooms which will host a variety of forums all day Saturday. Talk in on the 146.88 repeater with a 141.3 PL tone. For more information, go to fortwaynehamfest.com. December 7th is the Fulton County Winterfest 2024 at the Ruley Park Pavilion in Archbold, Ohio from 9 a.m. to noon. Talk in on the 147.195 repeater. For more information, go to k8bxq.org.
Are you looking to upgrade your license? Do you have someone else that's interested in the hobby? Here are some upcoming exam opportunities.
The Milford Amateur Radio Club holds amateur radio testing on the third Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at the Miami Township Civic Center, 6101 Meyer Drive in Milford, Ohio. Please pre-register at milfordhamradio.org. The Dayton Amateur Radio Association has exams frequently. For their exam schedule, email exams.w8bi@gmail.com. On November 9th at 10 a.m., the Westchester Amateur Radio Association will host an amateur radio exam session at the Voice of America Museum, 8070 Tylersville Road in Westchester, Ohio. Please pre-register at hamstudy.org/sessions/WC8VOA. On November 10th at 9:15 a.m., the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Society will hold an amateur radio testing session at the Old Elmwood Recreation Center, 6200 Wisniewski Parkway, Independence, Ohio. For more information, contact Metro Cinco at 216-520-1320. On November 17th at 9 a.m., the Geauga County Amateur Radio Club will hold an AM radio exam session at the Geauga County Emergency Operations Center, 12518 Merritt Road in Chardon, Ohio. For more information, email najmw2@gmail.com. On November 17th, the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Society will hold a ham radio exam session at the Cuyahoga Falls Library, 2025 2nd Street in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. You must register by emailing education@cfarc.org. On November 18th at 5:30 p.m., the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. You must register by emailing Mark Volstead, AI4BJ@mvolstad@twc.com. On December 4th at 6 p.m., the Dial Radio Club will be offering amateur radio exam session at 2806 Manchester Road in Middletown, Ohio. To register, go to hamstudy.org/sessions/DIAL. On December 7th at 10 a.m., the amateur radio exam session will be held at the Georgetown Police Department, 550 Bourbon Street in Georgetown, Kentucky. You must register at hamstudy.org/sessions/WX4GPS. On December 7th at 10 a.m., the Silver Creek Amateur Radio Association will hold an amateur radio testing session at the Sharon Center United Methodist Church, 6407 Ridge Road in Wadsworth, Ohio. For more information, contact Daniel Kinford at 216-702-8384. On December 14th at 10 a.m., the Westchester Amateur Radio Association will host an amateur radio exam session at the Voice of America Museum, 8070 Tylersville Road in Westchester, Ohio. Please pre-register at hamstudy.org/sessions/WC8VOA. Special thanks to this week's content contributors: KM4VEG, KY6MM, KE4WA, KY4GW, WB8YYS, KD8ZLD, K9HIO, N8LAR, K4NKU.
If you have something you think other amateur radio operators in the area would be interested in, send the information or your recorded audio file attached in an email to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Covering your amateur radio news and information in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana tri-state area. This is Jack Prindle, AB4WS in Big Bone, Kentucky.